I distinctly remember my mother and aunt cheering with excitement. It was the 1980s and the latest Corey Hart music video was playing on Much Music, Canada's equivalent of MTV. The world had yet to discover Spotify and YouTube, so my mother frantically hit record on the VCR. Naturally, she missed the first 10 to 20 seconds of the song, a detail characteristic of every 80s home recording. As Corey was stealing hearts in his tight pants and leather jacket, I asked my mom where they were filming. At 5 years old, I didn't realize that you could record and replay a video. Like the news, I thought all songs on Much Music were live. When my mother explained how film worked, I was amazed, and I had just experienced my first aha moment. An aha moment is a sudden understanding of a problem or a concept, and a feeling of joy or satisfaction often follows this sudden clarity. Aha moments are powerful because they have a way of changing your beliefs and how you see the world. Since that time, I've experienced many aha moments, some more valuable than others. And in this video, I want to share 4 of the most powerful aha moments that have changed my life. And with any luck, they can change your life as well. Aha moment number 1 is, are they good enough for me? When I was 33 years old, I found myself single for the first time in 8 years. I had no idea how to date, and honestly, I was nervous about getting back into the game. Thankfully, apps like Bumble and Tinder had made an appearance since I was last on the scene, and these apps made it relatively easy to get a date. They also prevented a lot of awkward grocery store conversations that ended in, "I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend." In the beginning, I worried a lot about being good enough for my date. Whether I was interesting enough, funny enough, or attractive enough were always running through my mind. After about 2 months of dating, I met a girl I liked and we began a relationship. About 2 months into that relationship, I recognized that she was always upset with me. She'd start a fight with me anytime I was 5 minutes late, wanted to go for a run, or spoke with another woman. And honestly, life got harder in every single way. I was constantly stressed and worried about keeping her happy. After our umpteenth pointless fight in a week, I recognized something important, and that is, I was in my 30s and dating to get married. Now, barring something tragic like getting hit by a bus, getting married meant spending 50 to 60 years with someone. So I didn't want to make those years any harder than they had to be. Instead, I needed a teammate who could support me along the way and make life easier. And that's when it hit me. You see, the real question when dating isn't, am I good enough for them? The real question when dating is, are they good enough for me? And that single change in perspective changed the way I approach dating in 2 main ways. First, I was completely transparent. I ignored all of the "don't say this on a first date" advice and freely spoke my mind. I talked about my goals, my values, and what I expected from a partner. I also shared that I was interested in a committed relationship, and even though I wasn't in a rush, that ultimately I wanted to get married and have children. My reason for doing this was simple. I didn't want there to be any surprises about who I was or what I wanted from life. If my date liked what I said and wanted to continue seeing me, then great. But if she didn't, that was also great, because there was no point in dating someone who didn't like the real me. The second thing I did differently was I changed the way I evaluated the women I was dating by asking myself important questions early on. Questions like, does this woman share similar beliefs, values, and goals? Does she resolve conflict well? When life gets hard, is this the kind of person I want in my corner? And will she make a good mother? These important questions help me understand if we were compatible on a deeper level. You see, love and attraction are important, but at best, the honeymoon phase lasts 2 years. What I wanted to know is, when the fireworks fade and life goes back to normal, will this woman be there to support me when people get sick, money gets tight, or kids need to go to soccer practice? In the 20 months I was single, I went on 57 first dates. I met a lot of amazing women, but second dates were rare. You see, with my new approach to dating, I was quickly able to determine if a date had potential. Now, when they didn't, I was honest about how I felt and I moved on, because I didn't believe there was any point in wasting either of our time. Thankfully, date number 57 was a keeper, and I'm now happily married to an amazing woman who is the true definition of a teammate. Aha moment number 2 is, employment is an agreement. Growing up, our family never did without, but I certainly didn't come from money. I knew my parents couldn't afford to put me through college, so I started working at 14 and put 70% of every paycheck into my college fund. I felt very fortunate to have a job because I had seen firsthand how unemployment could affect a family. But I let the fear of unemployment influence me a little too much. I viewed the employer as having all the power. Employment felt like a one-way agreement in which the employer was doing me a favor, and I was lucky to have a job. The fact that they told me what to do, evaluated me, and could fire me whenever they want only added to my belief. I graduated from college and received my first engineering job at the age of 24. Over the next 6 years, a lot changed. I gained a ton of experience, became a licensed professional engineer, and had nothing but outstanding performance reviews. The only thing that didn't change was my salary. My aha moment didn't hit me until I started hiring people to work for my own company. What I realized was this: employment is not a one-way agreement. Employment is a two-way agreement in which an employee agrees to provide a valuable service in exchange for money. Because I felt the employer was doing me a favor, I never felt like we were on an even playing field. As a result, I never negotiated a raise or looked for a higher paying job. What I failed to recognize was that I was providing value to the employer. Yes, I was fortunate to have a job, but the company was also fortunate to have a good employee. Looking back, if I could talk to the 24-year-old version of myself, this is what I'd say. Number 1, remember that you are providing a valuable service in exchange for payment. Number 2, companies pay for value. So continue looking for ways to increase the value you can offer as an employee. The more value you can offer, the higher the salary you can request. Number 3, if at any time you believe the service you provide is worth more than the payment you receive, do one of two things: ask for a raise or find a company that will pay you what you're worth. And number 4, if no company will pay you what you believe you're worth, that could mean one of two things: either you're overvaluing yourself or it's time to start your own business. Aha moment number 3 is you can achieve almost anything with small steps. As a child, I witnessed the mainstream adoption of the internet. I was 14 when our family got its first computer, so I'm distinctly aware of the contrast between life with and without the internet. When you didn't have the internet, you couldn't just Google something. If your parents didn't know the answer to a question, it often went unanswered. Because I didn't know where to find the answers to my questions, topics that my parents knew nothing about took on a mysterious lore. Entrepreneurship, computer programming, and engineering felt impossibly complex. It seemed like people who understood these topics knew a secret or were gifted, and for the longest time, this belief held me back. Instead of looking for answers, I assumed there was nothing I could do. Here's one of the biggest lessons I learned while conducting 2 years of research for this channel. A lot of people believe that you succeed by taking one large step, but that's rarely true. So here's the aha moment. Almost every large accomplishment is achieved through a series of small accomplishments. When I reflect on my career, that lesson is apparent. By trade, I'm a mechanical engineer, but I've built a career as an entrepreneur. To get my first successful business off the ground, I had to teach myself about business, manufacturing, and computer programming. To run that business for a decade, I learned about customer service, logistics, and hiring employees. To start this business, I learned about writing, the publishing industry, and video and audio production. In more than 15 years of teaching myself topics one step at a time, I've learned that there are no secrets. I've also realized that no topic was ever as mysterious as it first appeared. So if you're holding yourself back because you believe something is too complex or difficult, then I hope this aha moment makes you reconsider your belief. At the end of the day, if you want to achieve something significant, start with small steps and build from there. For context, even Google started as a research paper. Aha moment number 4, focus on what matters. I've always been a very inquisitive person. I find almost anything interesting, I love to figure things out, and I could talk to strangers for hours. This characteristic has served me well, but as the saying goes, your greatest strengths are also your greatest weaknesses. Because I'm interested in almost everything, I tend to take on too much. And one downside of taking on too much is you rarely become great at the things you do. Greatness takes dedication and time, and when you're forever bouncing from one thing to the next, you lose the focus that greatness demands. Before starting this channel, I read close to 200 books, and one of the biggest aha moments I took from those books was Greg McKeown's concept of essentialism. In short, essentialism teaches you to focus on what is truly important while saying no to the rest. When you do, you can make your highest contribution towards the things that really matter. After reading McKeown's book, I surveyed my life, and the first thing I did was ask myself where I want to be in 5 to 10 years. My answer was as follows. I want to be a great husband, father, and son. I want my work to provide value while feeling meaningful. I want to satisfy my inquisitive nature by continuing to learn every day. I want to become financially free, and I want to maintain my physical and mental health. After studying this list, I realized that my career could satisfy my desire for meaningful work, my inquisitive nature, and my goal of becoming financially free. Therefore, I could define what was important to me with 3 broad categories: family, work, and health. Since defining these three broad categories, it's been easy to determine how I spend my time. Here's an example. I play guitar on and off for 20 years. I have an endless desire to become a better player, but doing so takes a lot of time. I recognize that guitar doesn't help me become a better father, husband, or son. It doesn't contribute to my work, and it doesn't improve my health. For those reasons, I decided to put practicing guitar on hold for now. I've realized that the time needed to become a greater player is better spent on family, work, or health. Essentialism has also taught me the value of saying no. And as someone who struggles to say no, I've learned that always saying yes takes you away from what truly matters. Thankfully, by defining that family, work, and health are my priorities, I'm able to quickly identify when to say no. Questions like, do you want to join the HOA board, or will you help me start a business, now have a clear and definitive answer. Ultimately, Essentialism has taught me that if I don't take control of my own life, then someone else will. So if you find yourself overwhelmed, saying yes to things you don't want to do, or living life on someone else's terms, then I hope this aha moment helps you as much as it helped me.